Commander Alex Summers stood on the bridge of the Earth Coalition ship Intrepid, his eyes fixed on the massive view screen. His heart beat faster as the alien vessel grew larger. This was it. First contact with an intelligent species from beyond Earth's solar system. Are we broadcasting the greeting message on all frequencies? Alex asked, his voice steady despite his nerves. Yes, Commander, replied Communications Officer Lisa Brown. All languages, all channels, just as protocol demands. The alien ship was unlike anything humans had built. It shimmered with a purple-blue light and moved with impossible grace. No visible engines, no radiation signature. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. They're responding, Lisa said suddenly. Audio and visual. The screen flickered, and Alex found himself looking at a being with gray-blue skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and a mouth that seemed too wide for its narrow face. The alien wore what looked like armor made of overlapping plates. I am General Vrekthar of the Zarkonian Empire, the alien said, its words translated by the ship's computer. State your purpose in approaching our territory. Alex took a deep breath. General Vrekthar, I am Commander Alex Summers of the Earth Coalition. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge. We did not know this region belonged to your people. We apologize for any trespass. The 4 eyes blinked, each lid closing in sequence rather than together. Your apology is noted. We have observed your vessel for some time. Your technology is primitive, but interesting. Alex felt a flicker of pride at the backhanded compliment. We would be honored to learn from the Zarkonian people. Perhaps we could arrange a diplomatic meeting. After a long pause, Vrekthar agreed. Within hours, a small team from the Intrepid boarded a shuttle bound for the Zarkonian ship. The team included Alex, cultural specialist Diane Foster, and science officer Ben Martinez. The inside of the alien ship was as strange as its exterior. The walls pulsed with light, and the air smelled like cinnamon and metal. Zarkonian crew members watched the humans with all 4 eyes as they passed. In a large room with a circular table, Vrekthar waited with 3 other aliens. The diplomatic talks began well. The Zarkonians were direct and logical in their speech. They shared information about their empire, which spanned 12 star systems. They seemed most interested in human history. Then came the mistake. During a break in the talks, Diane offered the aliens a gift, a book of Earth's greatest artworks. When Vrekthar saw paintings next to photographs, his posture changed instantly. You present false images alongside true ones, he said, his voice now cold. You mix fiction with reality without distinction. It's art, Diane explained quickly. These are expressions of human creativity and imagination. You deceive by your very nature. Vrekthar said, your language is full of untruths, metaphors, exaggerations. How can we trust beings who cannot speak plainly? Alex tried to explain that human communication included many forms of expression, but the damage was done. The Zarkonians conferred among themselves in their clicking, whistling language. Vrekthar turned back to the humans. The meeting is over. Return to your ship. General, please, Alex said. This is just a cultural difference. We can work through it. Cultural difference. Vrekthar's eyes narrowed to slits. No, it is a fundamental incompatibility. Your species thinks in ways that are chaotic, unpredictable. You cannot be trusted because you do not value truth as we do. The humans were escorted back to their shuttle. As they prepared to leave, Vrekthar appeared on their communication screen one last time. The Zarkonian Empire hereby declares all space within 3 light years of our territory restricted to human vessels. Any approach will be considered hostile action. There will be no further contact. The screen went dark. Alex looked at his team members, their faces showing the same shock he felt. What just happened? Ben asked. I think. Alex said slowly, we just made our first enemy in space. The shuttle departed the alien ship in silence, carrying back to Earth news that would change humanity's future forever. Commander Alex Summers stood on the bridge of the Earth Coalition ship Intrepid, his eyes fixed on the massive view screen. His heart beat faster as the alien vessel grew larger. This was it. First contact with an intelligent species from beyond Earth's solar system. Are we broadcasting the greeting message on all frequencies? Alex asked, his voice steady despite his nerves. Yes, Commander, replied Communications Officer Lisa Brown. All languages, all channels, just as protocol demands. The alien ship was unlike anything humans had built. It shimmered with a purple-blue light and moved with impossible grace. No visible engines, no radiation signature. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. They're responding, Lisa said suddenly. Audio and visual. The screen flickered, and Alex found himself looking at a being with gray-blue skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and a mouth that seemed too wide for its narrow face. The alien wore what looked like armor made of overlapping plates. I am General Vrekthar of the Zarkonian Empire, the alien said, its words translated by the ship's computer. State your purpose in approaching our territory. Alex took a deep breath. General Vrekthar, I am Commander Alex Summers of the Earth Coalition. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge. We did not know this region belonged to your people. We apologize for any trespass. The 4 eyes blinked, each lid closing in sequence rather than together. Your apology is noted. We have observed your vessel for some time. Your technology is primitive, but interesting. Alex felt a flicker of pride at the backhanded compliment. We would be honored to learn from the Zarkonian people. Perhaps we could arrange a diplomatic meeting. After a long pause, Vrekthar agreed. Within hours, a small team from the Intrepid boarded a shuttle bound for the Zarkonian ship. The team included Alex, cultural specialist Diane Foster, and science officer Ben Martinez. The inside of the alien ship was as strange as its exterior. The walls pulsed with light, and the air smelled like cinnamon and metal. Zarkonian crew members watched the humans with all 4 eyes as they passed. In a large room with a circular table, Vrekthar waited with 3 other aliens. The diplomatic talks began well. The Zarkonians were direct and logical in their speech. They shared information about their empire, which spanned 12 star systems. They seemed most interested in human history. Then came the mistake. During a break in the talks, Diane offered the aliens a gift, a book of Earth's greatest artworks. When Vrekthar saw paintings next to photographs, his posture changed instantly. You present false images alongside true ones, he said, his voice now cold. You mix fiction with reality without distinction. It's art, Diane explained quickly. These are expressions of human creativity and imagination. You deceive by your very nature, Vrekthar said. Your language is full of untruths, metaphors, exaggerations. How can we trust beings who cannot speak plainly? Alex tried to explain that human communication included many forms of expression, but the damage was done. The Zarkonians conferred among themselves in their clicking, whistling language. Vrekthar turned back to the humans. The meeting is over. Return to your ship. General, please, Alex said. This is just a cultural difference. We can work through it. Cultural difference. Vrekthar's eyes narrowed to slits. No, it is a fundamental incompatibility. Your species thinks in ways that are chaotic, unpredictable. You cannot be trusted because you do not value truth as we do. The humans were escorted back to their shuttle. As they prepared to leave, Vrekthar appeared on their communication screen one last time. The Zarkonian Empire hereby declares all space within 3 light-years of our territory restricted to human vessels. Any approach will be considered hostile action. There will be no further contact. The screen went dark. Alex looked at his team members, their faces showing the same shock he felt. What just happened? Ben asked. I think, Alex said slowly, we just made our first enemy in space. The shuttle departed the alien ship in silence, carrying back to Earth news that would change humanity's future forever. Captain Daniel Garcia stood on the bridge of the ECF Defender, looking at the small fleet of human ships gathered around him. 8 vessels against 23 Zarkonian warships. The odds were not good. "All ships reporting ready, Captain," said his first officer, Amy White. Daniel nodded. "Tell them to take positions behind the asteroid belt as planned." The small human flotilla moved into the thick field of space rocks, hiding among the spinning chunks of stone and metal. Ahead of them, the massive Zarkonian fleet approached with confidence. "They've spotted us," reported Sensors Officer Eric Young. "They're adjusting course to enter the asteroid field." Daniel smiled. "Good. They're following the bait." 3 weeks ago, Earth Command had discovered the Zarkonians' plan for their first major assault. Instead of waiting to be attacked, Daniel had been ordered to take his small defensive force and meet the enemy here, near the abandoned mining system of Series 9. His orders were simple: slow them down until reinforcements could arrive. But Daniel had a different plan. "Status of the solar probes?" he asked. "All 4 probes are in position around the star," Communications Officer Linda Freeman replied. "Ready to activate on your command." Daniel watched as the Zarkonian ships entered the asteroid field. They moved in perfect formation, their purple-blue hulls shimmering as they carefully navigated between the larger rocks. "They're scanning for us," Eric said. "They'll find us in about 2 minutes." Daniel touched his console. "All ships, prepare to execute Chaos Protocol on my mark." The Zarkonian vessels drew closer. In their command ship, Grand Admiral Vrekthar surely felt confident. His tactical computers would show a 98.7% chance of victory with his superior forces. "They've locked weapons on us," Eric reported. "Now," Daniel said calmly. At once, all 8 human ships fired thrusters in different directions. They shot out from their hiding places, each on a seemingly random course. Some flew straight at the enemy, others darted between asteroids, and still others looped around in spirals. "Solar probes, activate," Daniel ordered. 4 small devices orbiting the nearby star suddenly fired concentrated energy beams into specific points on the star's surface. A moment later, the star belched out massive solar flares, much bigger than normal. The wave of radiation and charged particles hit the battlefield just as the human ships reached their new positions. The human vessels had their special shields ready, but the Zarkonians, caught by surprise, took the full blast. "Their systems are disrupted," Eric reported with excitement. "They've lost formation." "All ships, attack pattern Gamma," Daniel ordered. The human flotilla struck from multiple angles. The Defender targeted the lead Zarkonian vessel, firing all weapons at once. 2 other human ships joined the attack, concentrating fire on the same spot. On the main screen, Daniel watched as the Zarkonian ship shields failed and its hull cracked open. 2 more enemy ships fell to similar tactics, while others struggled to restore their systems after the solar flare. "They're regrouping," Amy reported, "forming a defensive circle." Daniel studied the pattern. "They're protecting their command ship. That's where Vrekthar must be." He made a quick decision. "All ships, fall back to position Alpha. Prepare for second solar pulse." The human ships retreated, some taking hits as they withdrew. The Zarkonians, thinking they had pushed back the attack, followed in ordered pursuit. That was when the second, larger solar flare hit them from behind. 3 more enemy ships lost power completely. The others struggled to maintain formation as human vessels darted between them, firing precisely at weak points. After 30 minutes of chaotic battle, the Zarkonian fleet did something unexpected. They retreated. "They're leaving," Amy said in disbelief. "We actually drove them back." The bridge crew cheered, but Daniel remained serious. "They'll be back. And next time, they won't fall for the same trick." What Daniel didn't know was that on the Zarkonian command ship, Grand Admiral Vrekthar was staring at his tactical display in stunned silence. The humans had achieved the impossible. They had defied every prediction, every calculation. For the first time in his long military career, Vrekthar felt something new, doubt. Dr. Samantha Wright stood before the Earth Coalition War Council, her hands shaking slightly as she held her notes. 12 serious faces watched her from around the large table. As a xenopsychologist, she had studied alien minds for 15 years, but never had her work been so important. "Thank you for coming, Dr. Wright," said Admiral William Peters, head of the council. "We need your insights on the Zarkonians. How do they think? How can we predict their next move?" Samantha took a deep breath. "That's just it, Admiral. We shouldn't try to predict them. We should make ourselves unpredictable." She touched a control, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed recordings of Zarkonian behavior from the few encounters humans had survived. The Zarkonians think in patterns. Their entire society is based on logic and predictability. They don't understand randomness or creative thinking. She showed battle footage from Captain Garcia's victory. They expected us to either flee or attack head-on. When we did neither, they couldn't adapt quickly enough. An older general frowned. "So you're saying we should be illogical, fight without a plan?" "Not exactly," Samantha replied. "I'm saying we should plan to be unpredictable. Change tactics frequently. Do the unexpected. Use human creativity and adaptability to our advantage." The council members looked at each other with doubt. Admiral Peters finally spoke. "Develop a formal strategy based on your theory, Doctor. We'll consider it." Meanwhile, aboard the Zarkonian flagship, a scientist named Zixera studied battle recordings in secret. She was young for her position, with only 2 of her 4 eyes showing the darkening that came with age and wisdom. Zixera didn't work directly for Grand Admiral Vrekthar. Her job was to study human technology, not their behavior. But something about the humans fascinated her. She watched Captain Garcia's strange battle tactics again. The solar flares, the seemingly random movements. By Zarkonian standards, it was madness. Yet it had worked. Zixera pulled up more data. In every encounter, humans did things that defied Zarkonian prediction models. They took risks that seemed foolish. They changed plans in the middle of execution. And somehow, they kept winning despite the odds. A soft tone indicated someone entering her lab. Zixera quickly switched her screen to show engine schematics instead of battle data. "Scientist Zixera," said a deep voice. She turned to see Grand Admiral Vrekthar himself standing in her doorway. His 4 eyes studied her carefully. "Grand Admiral," she said, lowering her head respectfully. "How may I serve the Empire?" "I need answers," Vrekthar said, moving closer. "Our best ships keep losing to inferior human vessels. Our best plans fail against their chaos." He sounded angry, confused. "Is their technology more advanced than we thought?" Zixera hesitated. Speaking her true thoughts could be dangerous, but this was her chance to share what she had learned. "Their technology is indeed inferior, Grand Admiral, but their minds work differently than ours." "Explain," he demanded. "Zarkonians seek patterns and follow them. Humans create patterns and then break them. They thrive in situations where rules change. She searched for the right word. They improvise. Improvise. The concept seemed to trouble Vrekthar. They make decisions without complete data. They guess. They take risks based on instinct rather than calculation." Vrekthar's eyes narrowed. "That is why they are dangerous. They are unpredictable. Chaotic." "Yes," Zixera agreed. "But there may be value in studying this chaos, if we could understand." "No," Vrekthar cut her off. "We will not adopt their flawed thinking. We will develop better prediction models, more precise calculations. The Empire has always prevailed through order and logic, not chaos and emotion." As he left, Zixera turned back to her hidden research. She disagreed with the Grand Admiral, but knew better than to say so openly. Perhaps understanding humans better would reveal a way to peace, not just victory in war. What neither Zixera nor Vrekthar knew was that Dr. Wright's strategy of unpredictability was about to be approved by the War Council, setting the stage for the next phase of the conflict. Major Kevin Powell checked his gear one last time as the small stealth ship approached the Zarkonian space station. His team of 6 Special Forces soldiers sat quietly around him, each focused on their own preparations. Their black armor absorbed light, making them nearly invisible in the dim cargo hold. 2 minutes to drop point, came the pilot's voice over the comm. Sensors show no sign they spotted us. Kevin nodded to his team. Remember the mission. Get in, download their command codes, get out. No engagement unless absolutely necessary. The team had trained for this mission for weeks. The station held valuable information about Zarkonian fleet movements and communication protocols. With that data, Earth forces could predict enemy attacks and possibly even listen to their transmissions. 1 minute, said the pilot. The team stood and moved to the airlock. Their helmets sealed with soft clicks and their boots magnetized to the floor. The ship would never dock with the station. Instead, it would pass close by, and the team would make a space jump to a maintenance hatch. Good hunting, the pilot said as the airlock opened to the black of space. One by one, they pushed off, small thrusters on their suits guiding them to the station's hull. Kevin went last, watching his team make the crossing safely before following. They landed without detection and quickly cut through the maintenance hatch. Inside, the corridors were lit with the same purple-blue light that all Zarkonian technology seemed to use. The station was massive, housing at least 500 Zarkonians. Kevin's team moved silently through service tunnels, following the memorized map to the central data core. Twice they had to freeze and wait as Zarkonian workers passed nearby, but their luck held. Until they reached the data core. 2 guards stood outside, alert and heavily armed. Kevin signaled his team to wait while he studied the situation. The original plan called for a distraction in another part of the station, but that would alert all Zarkonians to their presence. Kevin made a quick decision. He pointed to Sergeant John Miller and Private Lisa Ward, then to a junction box on the wall near the guards. They nodded, understanding his improvised plan without words. John moved first, placing a small device on the junction box. Lisa took position at the corner. When John activated the device, it sent a power surge through the station's systems. Lights flickered, and alarms sounded elsewhere in the station. The guards looked at each other in confusion. One went to check the junction box while the other stayed at the door. Lisa stunned the approaching guard with a silent electrical pulse from her weapon. Kevin and Private Andy Ross took down the second guard just as quietly. Change of plans, Kevin told his team as they entered the data core. We have 5 minutes before they realize these guards aren't responding. Download everything you can. The team worked quickly, connecting their devices to the Zarkonian computers. As data streamed into their storage units, Private Sam Brooks called Kevin over to his terminal. "Sir, look at this," he said quietly. "These aren't fleet movements. These are prisoner logs." Kevin looked at the screen. The Zarkonians had captured humans from the colonies they'd attacked. Dozens of men, women, and even children were being held somewhere on this very station. "Can you find where they're keeping them?" Kevin asked. Sam worked the controls. "Level 8, Section C, not far from here." Kevin faced a difficult choice. Their mission was to gather intelligence, not conduct a rescue. Attempting to free prisoners would greatly increase the risk, but he couldn't leave his people in alien hands. "New mission," he announced to his surprised team. "We're getting our people out." "Sir, that wasn't in the briefing," John reminded him. "Plans change, Sergeant. We adapt." Kevin pulled up a station map on his wrist display. "Sam, finish the download. Everyone else, we need a new exit strategy that accommodates at least 30 civilians." The team immediately began planning, suggesting routes and methods without hesitation. In minutes, they had developed an entirely new mission on the fly. What they didn't know was that somewhere else on the station, A Zarkonian officer was watching in disbelief as the humans completely abandoned their original mission parameters and created a new plan in minutes, something no Zarkonian would ever consider doing. Admiral Laura Bennett stood at the center of the war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the positions of both human and Zarkonian fleets. 6 months had passed since Major Powell's team successfully rescued the human prisoners from the Zarkonian station. That mission had shown that even small groups of humans could disrupt Zarkonian operations through unexpected actions. Now Laura was planning something much bigger. "The Zarkonians have gathered their forces here," she said, pointing to a cluster of red dots near a binary star system. "Intelligence suggests they're preparing for a major push toward our core worlds." "How many ships?" asked General Carlos Diaz. "At least 200, Laura replied. "We can only gather about 70 to oppose them." The room fell quiet. Those were impossible odds. "Unless," Laura continued with a slight smile, "we make our 70 ships look and act like 700. She nodded to Chief Engineer Chris Martinez, who stepped forward. Chris was young for his position, only 32, but his genius with technology had earned him his place at the table. "I've developed something new," Chris said, activating a display showing a small device. "We call it the Chaos Emitter. It creates false readings on Zarkonian sensors and scrambles their communication patterns." He demonstrated with a simulation. A single human ship equipped with the device appeared on Zarkonian sensors as multiple vessels moving in erratic patterns. "The Zarkonians rely on precise data," Chris explained. "Their entire battle strategy depends on knowing exactly where we are and what we're doing. These devices will make that impossible." Laura took over again. "We'll divide our fleet into 3 groups. Alpha Group will appear to retreat in disorder. Beta Group will seem to attack randomly from multiple vectors. Gamma Group will remain cloaked until the final phase." She looked around at the assembled officers. "The Zarkonians expect us to behave logically. Instead, we'll give them chaos." 2 days later, the human fleet took position at the edge of the binary system. Laura watched from the bridge of her flagship, the ECF Valiant, as the Zarkonian Armada approached in perfect formation. "They're scanning us," reported her tactical officer, Jack Harris. "Activate chaos emitters," Laura ordered. Throughout the human fleet, Chris's devices powered up. On the tactical display, the neat formation of human ships suddenly seemed to scatter in all directions. Some ships appeared to multiply into 3 or 4 identical vessels. Others vanished from sensors entirely, only to reappear elsewhere. "Alpha Group, begin your retreat," Laura commanded. A third of the human fleet turned and fled, but their movements were wild and unpredictable. Some ships spun as they moved. Others zigzagged or looped back on themselves. On the Zarkonian flagship, Grand Admiral Vrekthar watched in growing frustration. His tactical computers couldn't make sense of what they were seeing. The human fleet seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. His carefully planned attack formation was becoming useless. "Beta Group, commence attack pattern randomizer," Laura ordered. More human ships surged forward, each taking a different approach vector. They fired weapons at seemingly random intervals, some hitting targets while others deliberately missed, creating a pattern of explosions in space that further confused Zarkonian sensors. Vrekthar ordered his ships to maintain formation and focus fire on confirmed human vessels. But the humans moved too erratically. For every hit the Zarkonians scored, they missed 3 times. "Gamma Group now," Laura said calmly. The final third of her fleet, hidden until this moment, suddenly appeared behind the Zarkonian formation. They attacked with precision, targeting engines and weapons systems. The Zarkonian fleet, caught between the wild movements of Alpha and Beta groups and the precise strikes of Gamma Group, began to break formation. Ships turned to face new threats, only to find nothing there. Others fired at sensor ghosts created by the chaos emitters. After an hour of battle, something unprecedented happened. The Zarkonian fleet began to retreat. "They're pulling back," Jack reported with disbelief in his voice. "All of them." Laura allowed herself a small smile. "Maintain pursuit, but keep your distance. Let them go." The bridge crew cheered as the enemy fled. It was the first major human victory of the war. Laura knew the Zarkonians would adapt eventually, but for now, human unpredictability had proven stronger than alien technology in numbers. And somewhere on that retreating flagship, Grand Admiral Vrekthar was experiencing something new and disturbing. Failure. Grand Admiral Vrekthar stood before the Zarkonian High Command, his 4 eyes cast downward in shame. The 7 members of the High Command looked at him with cold stares. Failure was not tolerated in Zarkonian society, especially from a military leader. "You have lost 3 major battles," said High Commander Zextol, the eldest member. "Our forces retreat while the humans advance. Explain yourself." Vrekthar straightened his posture. "The humans do not fight according to any known military doctrine. They change tactics constantly. They take illogical risks. They defeat you," interrupted another member. "That is all that matters." Vrekthar had no response. It was true. Despite superior numbers, despite superior technology, his forces kept losing to the unpredictable humans. "I request one final campaign," Vrekthar said. "I will commit our entire armada to a direct assault on their homeworld. We will end this war in one decisive strike." The High Command conferred briefly before Zextol spoke again. "You will have your final campaign. But should you fail?" He left the threat unspoken. Vrekthar understood. There would be no more chances. On Earth, Colonel Jeff Barnes received his new orders with surprise. He had expected to lead his battle group to defend the outer colonies. Instead, he was being sent directly to Earth's orbit as part of the home defense fleet. Intelligence reports indicate a massive Zarkonian fleet gathering. Admiral Bennett explained via video link. "We believe they're planning an all-out assault on Earth itself." "My ships are ready," Jeff assured her. "We'll make them regret coming here." But privately, he worried. This would be the largest Zarkonian force yet. Earth's defenses were strong, but could they withstand such an attack? Jeff spent the next days reviewing everything known about Zarkonian tactics. He studied the successful strategies used by Captain Garcia, Major Powell, and Admiral Bennett. Each victory had something in common. The humans had done something the Zarkonians didn't expect. An idea began to form in Jeff's mind. It was crazy, perhaps even foolish, but it might just work because of that very reason. He called an emergency meeting with his senior officers. "I want to try something completely different," he told them. "Something no military commander in history has ever done." His officers listened with growing disbelief as he outlined his plan. When he finished, the room was silent. "Sir," his executive officer finally said, "with all due respect, that's insane." "Exactly," Jeff replied with a grin. "The Zarkonians will never see it coming." 3 days later, Earth's long-range sensors detected the Zarkonian armada entering the solar system. Over 300 warships, led by Vrekthar's massive flagship, approached with clear purpose. Earth's defense fleet took up position. Jeff's battle group formed the front line, directly in the path of the oncoming aliens. "They're in range," reported his tactical officer, weapons locked and ready. Jeff took a deep breath. "All ships, hold fire." "Sir," the officer looked confused. "You heard me. Hold fire and open a direct channel to the Zarkonian flagship." On the bridge of his flagship, Vrekthar received the unexpected communication with suspicion. "The humans wish to speak. Put it on screen." Colonel Barnes appeared before him. "This is Colonel Jeff Barnes of Earth Coalition Forces. We request that you cease your advance." Vrekthar almost laughed. "You are in no position to make demands, human. Your destruction is imminent." "We're not making demands," Jeff replied calmly. "We're making an offer." Before Vrekthar could respond, his communication officer cried out in alarm. "Grand Admiral, The humans are transmitting a massive data package to all our ships. Our systems are accepting it automatically. Block it, Vrekthar ordered, but it was too late. On every screen throughout the Zarkonian fleet, images began to appear, human paintings and sculptures. Music played through communication systems. Poetry and literature scrolled across tactical displays. History, philosophy, mythology. The entire cultural and creative output of humanity flooded the Zarkonian ships. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't a weapon. It was art, expression, emotion. For the logical, ordered minds of the Zarkonians, it was overwhelming. The concept of creating something purely for beauty or emotional impact was alien to them. Their minds struggled to process the chaotic creativity of human expression. Vrekthar stared at his screen, transfixed by a painting of a starry night swirling in impossible patterns. For the first time, he began to understand what he was truly fighting against. The Zarkonian armada hung motionless in space. Minutes passed. Then hours. The human fleet remained in defensive position, weapons ready but unused. Inside the Zarkonian ships, confusion reigned. The flood of human culture, songs, stories, art, and history had disrupted their ordered minds. Some officers stared at screens showing Earth's great paintings. Others listened to symphonies with expressions of wonder and confusion. Many simply sat at their posts, overwhelmed by concepts they had never encountered before. On the flagship, Grand Admiral Vrekthar struggled to regain control. "Ignore these distractions," he ordered. "Prepare to attack." But his crew moved slowly, reluctantly. The transmission continued, showing the vast range of human creativity and emotion. War and peace, love and hate, creation and destruction, all the contradictions that made humanity what it was. Vrekthar realized his advantage was slipping away. He had to act before the entire fleet became paralyzed by the human cultural attack. He ordered his flagship to advance alone if necessary. The massive vessel moved forward, weapons charging. Colonel Jeff Barnes watched from his command ship, hoping his gamble would work but prepared for the worst. "Sir, the Zarkonian flagship is approaching," his tactical officer reported. "Should we engage?" Jeff shook his head. "Not yet. Let them come." As the flagship drew closer to Earth, something unexpected happened. 3 Zarkonian ships broke formation and moved to block its path. One of them belonged to scientist Zixera, who had been studying humans all along. "Grand Admiral," came Zixera's voice over the communication system. "We must stop this attack. Look at what the humans have shared with us. Their art, their music, their stories. They are not just a military threat. They are a species of creators. Stand aside," Vrekthar commanded. "This is treason." "No," Zixera replied calmly. "This is understanding, something you have refused to do." More Zarkonian ships began to move, some continuing toward Earth, others joining Zixera's position. The fleet was dividing. Aboard Jeff's ship, Sergeant Nicol Patel approached him urgently. "Sir, we're detecting power fluctuations in the Zarkonian flagship. It looks like some kind of internal conflict." Jeff made a quick decision. "Prepare a boarding team. If they're fighting among themselves, we might have a chance to end this now." Nicol nodded. "I'll lead it myself." 20 minutes later, Nicol and her team of Marines boarded the Zarkonian flagship through a damaged section of the hull. They encountered surprisingly little resistance as they made their way to the command center. Many Zarkonians simply watched them pass, their weapons lowered, their 4 eyes filled with confusion and wonder. When they reached the command center, they found chaos. Zarkonian officers argued with each other, divided between those who wanted to continue the attack and those affected by the human transmission who wanted to stop. In the center stood Grand Admiral Vrekthar, his uniform torn, one of his 4 eyes injured. He turned as the humans entered, his weapon raised. "So," he said, "you come to witness my failure in person." Nicol kept her weapon lowered, a deliberate choice. "We come to offer peace, "Admiral, this war can end now." Vrekthar looked at her, then at his divided crew, then at the screen still showing images of Earth's greatest achievements. He seemed to age before their eyes as something inside him finally changed. He lowered his weapon and moved to a console. With deliberate motions, he began recording a message, speaking in the formal tones of a military testament. "To the Zarkonian High Command, our war against humanity ends today. I take full responsibility for our defeat, but know this truth that I have learned too late." He looked directly at Nickel as he spoke his final words as a military leader. "Never fight the humans. They do not win because they are stronger or more advanced. They win because they are impossibly unpredictable. They thrive in chaos, find strength in emotion, and unite most fiercely when all hope seems lost. They are not just a species. They are a force of nature." He sent the message to the entire Zarkonian fleet, then turned back to Nicole. "I surrender myself and my ship to Earth custody." Nicole stepped forward and offered her hand in the human gesture of agreement. After a moment's hesitation, Vrekthar took it. 1 year later, Zixera led the first official Zarkonian diplomatic mission to Earth. The peace treaty she helped negotiate included not just military terms but cultural exchange programs. Humans would teach Zarkonians about art and creativity. Zarkonians would share their scientific knowledge.